Hey guys, Mouse here. So in this video, I'm just gonna share with you guys my honest opinion on Soohyun. So a lot of you guys have been asking me via PM as well as in the comment section. So I figured I'll just make a video on this, but I'm just gonna be very casual here because right now I can't do much editing yet. But I do hope that's fine because what I'm gonna be sharing with you guys are my thoughts and experience using her. I was playing her at A3 but mostly on Power of Destruction, and I pushed her to A5. I know there are quite a number of people who's like saying she's broken, she's OP, things like those, but I do disagree. Seriously, I do disagree, like in all aspects of like being OP. In terms of game content, in terms of mechanics and the design, the overall design, the combat mechanics of the character itself. To be honest, I believe that it sucks. Like, Soohyun is like an SR unit with a stronger damage. That's it. And I'm gonna explain that to you later in this video as well. I'll also talk about my expectations in the future and the reasons why I actually pulled for her. I'm not gonna be talking about like damage test here, like she's the third DPS. So this video is not gonna be about that. It's just gonna be my opinion. Like, I'm just gonna share with you guys my thoughts and experience playing her, because at the end of the day, her value does not really lie on that DPS alone. It's just a tiny aspect that we need to consider, because most of these banners' value should actually be judged, I believe, in my opinion, based on whether they can actually be used in clearing game content, in actually being able to be useful. Like, for example, we use Chahe in farming that Arachnid. We have Alicia, of course, for the Workshop of Brilliant Light, along with Maylin. So it's very clear that they have a use. But in the case of Soohyun, it's still not clear. Because honestly, right now, there's no game content where we can say that she's actually needed. But the same thing can be said on other previous banners that we had, like Alicia, for example. In this case, the only fire element, I believe, if I remember correctly, is gonna be the chapter 10 and chapter 11 of the reverse mode. And you don't have to clear the reverse mode, to be honest. Like, you can delay it if you are just starting out. You can delay it until you're strong enough. You don't have to like force this. Although this gives some mats, it's not like a necessity, right? So in the case of the story mode, I actually don't see any value for Soohyun right now. Okay, right now. We'll talk about the future potential value later on. So in the case of instance dungeon and encore missions, nothing here as well, right? Nothing here. Even if you're a new player, for this one, you'll probably just skip this part immediately, right? For the gates, may help, but no one pulls for gates. And for the Battlefield of Chaos, could help as well, but most of the time we're not gonna farm the fire map anyway. And like, these are purple gems that we probably don't need to farm. Okay, so there are easier choices. Just your usual lineup and still be able to clear it with Westwind, right? And you're gonna get the gems that actually matter, which are the attack gems. With her lack of survivability and being able to protect herself and CC skills, it's probably even harder. But maybe she's good, but kind of don't want to play here because I believe the resistance here is dark and most of us are using Plum Sword and Scythe as weapons. So it's kind of really forced just to have her have value when it comes to Battlefield of Chaos. And for the Battlefield of Time, not even helpful. Like, well, she's helpful here. I actually used her to get this, but this is quite low, to be honest, because the meta lineup currently used here is gonna be just the Emma carry, another breaker, and Min, right? Or probably Choi Jong-in is probably gonna work better. So even in speedruns, you probably won't see her that much in most of the videos posted by other YouTubers and content creators because she's not optimal here in speedruns. She takes a lot of time to set up, her animations really slow, and her damage is not packed into hard-hitting damage like Chahe-in that can bypass that Baruka mechanics where Baruka is going up to the air. Even in the speedrun right now, where the recommended element is fire, she's a bit useful, but not the best option here because you really just want to go for Emma here or just Choi. And even in cases of wherein you're gonna have to clear monsters quickly, she also doesn't have that AoE potential. She's like a Chahe-in, basically a ranged Chahe-in, maybe something like that. But of course, you can just use Emma here in the case of these speedruns. But if you compare her with Alicia, for example, which has a pretty good AoE with pretty good damage, really good damage and really good AoE, with shields and with debuff skills, with crowd control, it's very far right now in the battlefield of trials. She might be useful, but I'm gonna tell you later why she's actually not useful even here. And of course, the Workshop of Brilliant Light right now is resistant to fire as well. The only thing that she can be useful right now is in Power of Destruction, because she has that skill that can deal fire damage no matter what the element is, and consider that target weak to fire. But I do believe after playing her, like really played her in Power of Destruction, like a lot of hours, she deals a good amount of damage, but she's not that outstanding either. Okay? The best thing about her is that she can work with pretty much all the elements of Power of Destruction, like a stable damage, whether neutral or even the fire resistant Power of Destruction. She dealt pretty good damage there. We do have a video on that, comparing Chahe-in with Soohyun. So now let's talk about her overall kit. The main reason why I said that she's like an SR unit with more damage is this character design actually lacks creativity when it comes to the kit. And my reason for that is that her gameplay is really doesn't provide anything different compared to like most of the common DPSs here, right? Like Nam or Ana Ruiz, right? You have this trick shot, which is a skill where she somersault. She has the kill shot, which is pretty much just a like she's literally just going to fire the gun. So when she uses that trick shot, she's gonna get the defense penetration. Based on the defense penetration, then I'm not sure how this one works. Then she's gonna have that additional damage increase, right? And she summons this firearm, which is basically just an AI of those flying robot, that's attacking the enemies, and do the debuff that increases fire damage taken. When she becomes A1, she adds that core attack to the rotation, which is gonna be like kill shot, trick shot, kill shot, core attack, then to hellfire, and that's it. And afterwards, everything related here is just an additional damage related attack. There's gonna be no difference when it comes to the gameplay. So the good side about that is that her gameplay is not locked behind the advancements, okay? But the bad thing about that, it's not really very creative. Like, you just increase the damage. So maybe the design of the fire units are just intended for damage. But even in terms of damage, so you saw a lot of damage tests from other creators, like Pain already tested this. Like, she's like the third DPS probably, okay? So that's one of my main issues here. Uncreative and unexciting, okay? And another problem, which I mentioned earlier, is that she doesn't have any crit rate in her kit. And the main importance of that passive crit rates is gonna be realized when you fight against higher total power, wherein your artifact crit rate is gonna be penalized. So in that case, that's a big problem. So because she doesn't have much value anywhere at all right now. So there's actually no reason to pull for her now. And the only reason to pull for her now is like for her future or assumed future value, which we're also gonna discuss later. So let me just show you real quick what I'm talking about. Let's say you don't have Min, for example. We're gonna use this lineup just to kind of show you. So here's her stats. She has a 44.47 crit rate. Let's just try to play this like okay, so we're gonna do this. So the rotation is gonna be like that, and then you're gonna have to okay. You see how many times we're just dealing the crits? Like literally almost no crit here. And we're on the white. We're just a few thousand below the total power. So there is still penalty even if your TP is already white. So remember that. Okay? There's still penalty. Although it's not as bad as when you're in the red. And you're gonna have to get the passive crit rates somewhere else so that you're gonna be able to hit your crits here in these kinds of difficult contents, right? So you're gonna have to have that Min 12%. You probably need some toughness set, but kind of don't want to use a toughness set, to be honest. And sometimes she actually goes out of range because she jumps too far with the skills that she have. Right? I'm pretty sure that some of you guys who already played her experience that sometimes. And a lot of people are actually complaining about that. I feel like it's very problematic in terms of the synergy and efficient use with most of the banners. Not unless you're gonna have a banner or with a blink. But most of the units right now fight at short range, to be honest, right? So bam 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 or attack. See, not much crits. And while doing those things, it's actually vulnerable, not unless you have a support that has a shield. Because what I feel that is that she's lacking in terms of CC. Because I feel like it's so much better, not OP, just right, if this is gonna be like similar to Nam, right? When you QTE, it's gonna freeze. There's at least a breathing time for you to do your setup properly. But in this case, you're probably just gonna die from the mobs in terms of the hard content because she's very vulnerable. Even if she's at a long range, I do believe that she's very vulnerable. So I'm not sure. Maybe I have skill issues, but I do feel like there has to be something in between, like 1 second stun probably would be enough, right? Just so she can finish her rotation properly and it's gonna be smooth because this is an SSR unit, right? So when she does that, maybe there's gonna be a 1 second stun or even just slow probably so that she can do this, because if not, then your enemy is already gonna be near you in just a matter of seconds and you're not gonna be able to finish that kill shot, core attack, hellfire rotation. Of course this depends on a case-to-case basis on the enemy that you're fighting, but overall most of the monsters are like this. So that's one of the things that I actually don't like here. Maybe she will have better synergy with Choi, I don't know, but I feel like it's still incomplete right now. I don't know about what kind of game content she's going to be useful right now. I don't think there's any, to be honest. Like zero, except for Power of Destruction. But even Power of Destruction, it's not like a game-changing thing, right? I feel like I'm just playing Anam, but I really believe in, like, I feel like there has to be something in that QTE. Like when you QTE, you stun for a second, you trick shot so that you can set up those attacks and at least will have some breathing time before the enemy starts to retaliate, right? So just you can play her really as a sniper, right? Because that's her specialty. She's a sniper. Like, well, this is probably a shotgun, but a long range weapon. Okay, so I think it sucks. Like seriously sucks. But that's just my opinion. If you guys enjoy the gameplay, like that's okay. We can have different opinions anyway. I just feel like there has to be at least something different and not just damage. But anyway, if it's about damage, then okay, that's fine. Maybe they have plans in the future. But yeah, I feel like it's missing in terms of actual party utility that a party would be able to use. Because, for example, Alicia has that shield, debuff, and the CC, the freeze. Chae-in has that critical hit rate increase and critical hit damage taken, which benefits all. And this one, she would only be able to increase the fire damage taken, but I don't know if that's even usable in most cases. Like it's not gonna be used probably most of the time. Her support skill, haven't tried this yet. Yeah, so let's talk about what's unique about her. What's unique about her is actually just this one. It has a clear purpose. Always deals fire elemental damage as if it's the target's weakness, regardless of the target's element. So, it's one of the reasons I pulled for her, actually. Although I honestly don't like her. Like, really don't. Okay? And the reason is, I'm betting that this is just like a prediction or maybe wishful thinking that the future game content, it's not gonna be just weak to fire. It's gonna be various elements where you would need a stable damage. And probably even a monster or a boss that is weak to fire, for example, and then will suddenly change element during the battle at certain HP, because there are other games that does that kind of mechanics. So in that regard, she's gonna be able to deal pretty much decent or at least very close DPS no matter what the element the enemy is, because this is where most of her damage will come from. Okay, and that's it. Like, it's not even confirmed, but the way I see it right now, it's the only value that she'll be able to offer. Okay, and in the future they might even put a unit that's gonna be immune to freeze, where Alicia's skills and the like resistant to water, where Alicia's skills won't be of much use, and therefore power creeping Alicia in the future contents. Okay, because she's really like broken, like totally broken right now. So she's on another level, like SSSSS tier. Okay, even at lower advancement without that perma freeze, like a shield, seriously, a remove debuff, a freeze, a damage, and a wide AoE, that's too much for one unit. This is broken. And whoever says that Soohyun is broken, I don't know. I disagree. 300%, 999% disagree. I think it's wrong. Like, totally wrong to say that this unit is broken. Far from being broken. It's like a Chae-in. If I would compare her to something, it's like the similar thing, right? The final advancement is just a massive increase in damage, and most of the 2, 3, 4 advancement are just increasing damage as well. So I think that's gonna be it for this. And Alicia is gonna be a perma freeze plus more damage. Like, seriously, like, this is crazy. This is really, really crazy. The bad thing here is that Soohyun might even be just a feeler hunter, feeler banner. Probably won't have a value at all, like what Alicia can offer right now and Maylin in terms of the workshop of Brilliant Light, because the new banners are coming, like Mirai Amamiya, the Wind, of course, but more importantly, Gogunhi. And I think Gogunhi will be the next broken one because he's a major character, and like a lot of people will really pull for that, I believe. And so that's the worst case scenario. Right? And another reason, okay, that I pulled for her is that like I mentioned, the next two banners are already revealed. Probably the Wind one is Mirai Amamiya, and Gogunhi is like 99% light element. If they don't do that, it's gonna be outrageous not to do that. Like, seriously, Gogunhi must be at all costs a light element, or at least a unique element, because they can also do that, add another element that's not existing yet that will be overpowered. They did that in some games like Tower of Fantasy. There is altered element which is different from the usual ones, so they can also do that. And so that being said, there might be no fire units that is as strong as Soohyun over the next few months, and that's my main reason, because I don't want to play the next few months without any stable fire team. Okay, if I had a Choi that is high advancement, then I would probably not get this unit to A5. A1 or A3 is probably gonna be enough. I just wanted to get that fire DPS carry, and that's all. And I'm just betting that this one right here will have future value, because if not, then I don't know. Can't do anything about that, because there are some banners here as well that actually did not contribute much in terms of the game content. My personal opinion is that right now she's not needed. She doesn't have anything. There's no reason to pull for her, but in the future there might be. But even so, I don't think that she's gonna be as broken as this one. And right now we are still all at the mercy of Netmarble's plans, because they will decide whether a character will have a value or not, because the true value of the character is not really having that high DPS. Like Chahin has that high DPS. So what I would recommend for you guys is that you guys decide. I made my bet here, and I kind of like this because my priority game content is Power of Destruction. I do recommend her in Power of Destruction, to be honest. At least an A1. If you don't pull for her if you're not gonna go for A1, okay? There's not gonna be much point to that. A1 is the minimum. A3 is good damage, but this can be compensated by progress. Okay, nothing's gonna change. Like, it's not like this one's big, okay, but there are other things that can give you the same amount. And if you just want a stable DPS, A3 is okay. Okay, A1 is just like a reserve, probably, like just something that you can use. It's already good enough, to be honest. A3 is just additional damage, although it's big damage. It's not something that I think is urgently needed right now. And A5 is another it's another dimension. This one's different. So yeah, if you're in the same boat like me, like you don't have a good Emma, you don't have a good Choi, then you might want to pull for her. But for the time being, she's not gonna be able to do anything. So she's not gonna help you anywhere. Like, seriously, only in Power of Destruction, I believe. Nothing else right now. But yeah, I think there's a lot of missing pieces in this character. But who knows? I feel like right now she doesn't fit well into any game content and into most lineups, unlike other units that work well with most of the lineups. The fact that she's too long range, that already kills the other potential synergies with most units. The reward for DPSing in long range is not even that impressive, to be honest. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for my overall thoughts on Soohyun. Could still change. I could be wrong with a lot of things, but overall, I would not recommend this. Not unless there's gonna be a leak in the future, like what they did in Workshop of Brilliant Light, where her value is gonna be clear. But even without the Workshop of Brilliant Light, back then, I know, like, the very first week or the very first few days, I know already that Alicia Blanche is a total broken unit. And the problem right now in the game is that Alicia is just way too strong in all of the game content, whether speedrun, power of destruction, reverse mode. Let me just show you guys real quick. I burst through the reverse mode of chapter 18 and all of these chapters just using Alicia and Saw and Meilid and Min sometimes. And I'm already at chapter 18 Clash with a 738k recommended total power. I reached this point just using, like, bursting through all of this with Alicia. That's how broken. That's not supposed to happen, because what's supposed to happen is that you're gonna have to use the elements, the elemental advantage. But there's no need for that, because the A5 Alicia is just so broken that she can control all the units. She can deal AoE, clear those waves, deal huge damage, and she has shield, she has anti-debuff, and all of those things. Like, seriously, there's something wrong with the balance of the game right now. I do believe, like, I'm no glazing on solo leveling Arise. The balancing is very poor. Like, even without Alicia's advantage in the Workshop of Brilliant Light, Chahe-in, just this is the one of the recent banners, right? And this one, they won't survive the reverse mode. Trust me, they won't survive the reverse mode. They're just gonna die, drop like flies. But on Alicia, what the hell? Like, even this Battlefield of Trials Hunters mode, I'm already at floor 50 with just Alicia lineup. Can you imagine that? And with Chahe-in, my Chahe is not A5, by the way, so I could be wrong. But with Soohyun, already tried it. Stats are very close already. Maxed out kill shot, which is the most important skill. It's hard. It's insanely hard, because she there's no control unit. So I do feel that if Soohyun's gonna shine, if ever in the future, she needs a fire unit that's gonna be able to do at least a bit of control. Not a total control like Alicia, just a bit, just to give her a time window to attack. Probably a unit that when you tag out, he's gonna stun the target first before he's gonna go to Soohyun. Something like that. The CC skills are very important. And yes, like I mentioned, the lack of critical rate passives make her not very viable in terms of clearing the hard content. So in order to do that, in order to actually take advantage of a lot of her damage output, you're gonna have to have a good amount of total power to beat that penalty. And if you reach that point, why are you gonna need a limited banner for that? Because if you reach that total power, you're probably gonna be able to clear that dungeon with someone else, using someone else, right? So yeah, I think right now it's pointless, totally pointless, far from being broken. But who knows in the future? Right now, I think she needs to be buffed, because we already have a unit that's way above the rest of the limited banners, and I don't think it's gonna be good for the game. A lot of people are gonna pass, and a lot of people who pulled for this, and if it turns out that they're not gonna be able to use her in the future, they're gonna feel remorse, just like how they felt when they maxed out and pulled for Chahe-in, which basically was power creep, like almost instantly, right? So that's bad. I really do hope that they're gonna be able to balance the game more. Well, that's just my opinion, my perspective. Yeah, totally. The only reason to pull for her right now is to bet, like make a bet and risk and do the gamble that she's gonna have a future value. And if it turns out that she's not gonna have that and she's just a filler character among all of these, then I don't know. Nothing we can do.